camping in Texas for 3 weeks. I live in California. It was like an out-of-state camping trip, and some crazy stuff happened, and I'm gonna share all about that.
She took 5 minutes to explain that the reason she went to Texas was not for the camping specifically. She went there for a spiritual convention or whatever, and then the camping happened. So that's basically what she's saying now.
So the story begins even before I leave California. Craziness happened already. I had a pretty early flight, and my plan was to take an Uber from my house to the airport. And I had been checking on Uber like a week prior, just like getting up early and looking to see if there were Ubers available at that time. And I was looking, and I got satisfied that there was enough Ubers there that I could probably get a ride. I was looking at like 4:30 a.m. The airport's like an hour and a half away from my house. So it's the day of my flight. I'm on there. I get on there with plenty of time. I'm waiting some more. No one's taking my ride. I'm like, huh, this is interesting. And then it's really getting down to the wire. Still no one's taking my ride. And I'm like, okay, literally, if I don't get in my car right now and go, I will miss my flight. So I get all my bags, I put them all in my car, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have to pay for parking there for 3 weeks. I don't got no other option at this point. So I'm freaking driving like a speed demon, just like really speeding, you know, trying to get there. And I thought in my head, I'm like, okay, I hope I don't get pulled over. Guess what freaking happened? Oh yes. 5 in the morning, something like that, early. It's still dark out. I get pulled over, and I'm like, oh my God, if I wasn't gonna miss my flight, I'm definitely gonna miss my flight now. So the cop comes up to my window on my passenger side. I roll down my window. Straight up, it just like word vomit out of my mouth. I'm like, I was trying to wait for an Uber. I have a flight. I'm so sorry. That's why I was speeding. Like, I didn't want to be speeding, but I'm scared I'm gonna miss my flight. I just wanted to take an Uber there. Like, that was my plan. And so he's listening to me, and he was like, do you have your license? And I was like, yeah, but it's in the back. So I hop out my car, I go to my back, I pop the trunk, and all my bags are back there. So it's like, from that, he knows I'm not like pulling a fast one on him. Like, I need to go to the airport. So I find my ID, and I'm like, I'm so sorry right now. I'm just freaking out a little bit because I might miss my flight. He takes my ID and he looks at it and he gives it back, and he's like, slow down, don't speed. The speed limit is 65 miles an hour. Have a good flight. And I was like, you're my angel. I did not speed anymore after that, and I drove there. I got to the airport. I ended up making my flight by the skin of my teeth. It was just like the timing all was really perfect. Like, got in there, checked my bags, went through security, got to my flight, boarded the plane basically. So now the next thing is I freaking had a big freaking tent that I've never set up before in my life, and it was a teepee tent. And I do stuff by myself. I don't really ask for help from people. Like, I've put up a lot of tents all by myself, but this tent, I didn't know what the deal was. I had never set up a teepee tent before. Like, I had a ride lined up, which was with 2 other people that were going to the center, but one person was picking up someone else at the other airport. So there's 2 airports, and I flew into one, they were at the other, so I had to take an Uber from that airport to the other airport to meet them. To get from the terminal to the freaking place where the Uber is, like, they make you work for it. Around and up and down, and I'm like, at first I didn't think it was possible. I'm like, I'm literally gonna have to ask someone for help. But I was able to put my tent on top of my wheelie bag and be able to roll it. So I finally meet the Uber. I get over there, I meet them. I really need to get there to the campsite before it gets dark, because this is a giant tent. I've never set it up before. But on the way, they're like, we need to stop for food. What do you mean? Like, it's gonna get dark. We don't need food. We ended up stopping. At first they were like, oh, we'll just get it to go. That didn't happen. They're freaking eating in the restaurant, taking their time, having conversation. I'm like, okay, surrender, fine. They care more about taking a lot of time to eat than if I'm being able to set up my tent. We end up eventually getting to the campsite. The sun is starting to go down. I have 2 angels that saved me, or literally, I don't know what I would have done. One other person that was camping there that I knew from last year, who volunteered as well last year, his name's Panav, was there, and I was like, oh yes. He saw me walking in as he was walking back from the center, and he said he would help me out. So I was like, oh yes, he helped me find a spot. I'm lugging all my stuff. Panag was helping me. It's starting to get dark. We're not really sure how to set up this tent, either of us. The directions are super vague. Still, a lot of the stuff isn't going in. It's starting to get dark. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's gonna happen? And then Monet shows up. And Monet is another person that I know from last year. And she starts helping us. And she has a rubber mallet. So we're able to finally hammer the things in, and we're still trying to figure out what's going on. Mind you, this is rural Texas where there are tons of bugs. So we're all out there getting bit to crap, and I'm feeling all bad, like, oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry that it's like dark and we're trying to set up this super unusual tent. And Monet is an outdoorsy girl. So anyways, we finally figure it out. We're all getting bit to crap. My tent finally goes up. Mind you, if we didn't stop and take like an hour to eat, we would have got there and maybe it would have been better for everybody. Shut the fuck up! So we're putting it up. It finally goes up and I'm like, oh my God, thank you guys so much, you're my saviors. The next freaking crazy thing that happened, my glands started to get swollen and I was like, oh, my glands are getting swollen, so I hit it. So I had a Lomatium OSHA throat spray and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I brought this, because I was using that a lot. And then I was just hitting it with turmeric and ginger, raw garlic as well, and then vitamin C. Roxanne, who was a fellow camper, ended up getting sick as well. She actually got COVID, but I had like, my symptoms were mild compared to other people. Some other people got like strep throat was going around, COVID was going around, like a lot of intense stuff. People had to leave like for good and were like super sick in their hotel room. I tested for COVID and I was negative, so I didn't have COVID. I'm just there in my tent. It's actually really rainy. There's lots of storms happening and stuff. And I'm like sick, but not like really that sick, like just some nasal stuff going on. It's like, whatever, you know? But the owner of the place that I was staying started checking up on me because he saw that I was just like there all the time and it was super stormy. So I like get out and I'm like, okay. And we start driving around, showing me all the places. There's lots of horses there, which is super cool. So we're hanging out a lot and going into town and stuff. We go out to eat a few times. There ends up being like this super crazy storm. Like I'm talking like lightning, I'm in my tent at this point. Lightning, thunder, it's a blowing, and I'm just in my tent like, oh my God. But then later on, like as soon as that storm ends, this was like, it ended early in the morning. Juan pulls up, he's like honks his horn, come on. He knows I'm just like in there, you know? And so I hang out with him a bunch, and then he opens this trailer that he has on the property that no one was staying in. And he says, you can stay in here. And I'm like, sweet, that's gonna be awesome. But at the same time, I don't know if y'all could have handled that trailer. You can let me know. But he rented it out to some crackheads before, or some meth heads, and they pretty much trashed the place, and like they took out all the light fixtures, and like the carpet was like super muddy, and like the sink faucet was coming out, and like if you went in the back, like it smelled moldy and stuff. So I was super grateful, and I just set up my cot to sleep on, and I was just still sleeping in my cot on the trailer, so I wasn't sleeping like on the bed in the back where it smelled kind of moldy. So he brought me some coffee and like a thermos full of milk. And then I had another thing that I don't know y'all can handle about this is the bathroom situation. There's no shower curtain, it's super dirty, and the water is cold, and it's like salty. And so I'm in there just taking a cold, salty shower in this really dirty facility with like barely any light. Now we're gonna get into some of the crazy stuff. On the property, there's a lot of like long-term residents who stay in trailers, and I met a few of them when I was hanging out with Juan. Like they're hillbillies, but I'm not saying like they refer to themselves as hillbillies. They were talking about doing a different type of night. It's like, we'll have a hillbilly hoedown. Hillbillies are staying in these trailers. One time I was walking back from volunteering and these dudes were shooting guns, and the way that they had it was like they had a table, they had all their guns laid out, and then 3 dudes were sitting behind it, and they had them like set up, and they were like shooting these big guns. And there's one guy standing there, and I was like, hey guys, like I'm gonna walk in front of you, like don't shoot me. And they were like, don't worry, we got you, we're not gonna shoot you, we have someone who keeps an eye out. One day I decide to go back to my trailer just like for a little bit in the middle of the day. And so I go in there, I'm in my trailer, I'm doing whatever, and I freaking hear something. And I'm like, what the heck is that? I hear people's voices, and I hear like something fall in the back of my trailer. I'm like, what is that? But I go back there, and the freaking air conditioner is gone, and the window is open and there's like this stick sticking up, and I'm like, where the hell did the air conditioner go? Like, it's gone. And as soon as I go out to the window, I'm like, what are you doing? And the one dude, there was 2 dudes standing down there. The one dude was like, ah! He screamed and like jumped back. Like, they were literally as surprised to see me as I was to see them. It was a very surprising experience. And I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, where is the air conditioner? Why are you breaking in to my trailer? And the other guy, not the dude who screamed, the other guy was like, are you staying in here? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, for how long? And I was like, well, I've been in here for a little bit. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Really? Yeah. I'm like, really? Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're breaking into my trailer. And he was like, oh, well, we were just taking the air conditioner. And I was like, well, I need you to bring that back right now. Like, you stole my freaking air conditioner. Like, that's not cool. I was like, does Juan know you're stealing the air conditioner? And they were like, no. And we want to keep it that way. And I was like, look, you bring back that air conditioner right now, and I won't say anything. And they were like, all right, we're gonna go get that air conditioner. But can you imagine? You're staying in your trailer, you freaking hear something, 2 people are freaking breaking in right there, 2 hillbilly dudes, and you're like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? They actually asked me if I have a car. They're like, do you have a car? I'm like, no. Because they don't have a car neither. So when they stole the air conditioner, they had a wheelbarrow and they're wheeling it back to their trailer. And that's how they gotta bring it back, is they gotta wheel it back. And they put it back in, they bring all the parts. So anyways, the hillbillies, they put up my air conditioner and I was like, all right, well, thanks for bringing it back. And then, so I see Juan later and I'm like, Juan, something happened. I'm like, I become friends with him at this point. So I feel like this is an important thing, like someone breaking into your stuff and stealing from you. Like, but I also wanted to keep my word with the dudes. So I was like, all right, Juan, I gotta tell you something. Now I said I wasn't gonna say anything, but I feel like it's something I should tell you, but I'm not gonna tell you who did it, all right? And I was like, someone broke in and stole the air conditioner, but I had them bring it back. He was like, huh, you know, like that's not something you wanna hear. And he was like, it's those 2 older hillbilly dudes. And I was like, So that is my trailer experience of getting robbed from the hillbillies.